Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Graz with another Zero City video. Today I'm going to be talking about all things that are crafting, recrafting, modifying, set roles, all these things to do with anomalous sets and improving them. It's a video I've wanted to make for a while now, and because I think there's a lot of false information out there. Lots of people tell their stories of how items have gone down in values and things like this. So I wanted to try and educate as many people as possible because, like I say, there seems to be a lot of false information out there. So let's get stuck in. Before we go any further, I've just got to give the usual YouTube plug, if that's okay. If you can subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment or a question, and share my videos, it's going to help me a lot. I need to increase my ranking within the Zero City Partner Program. That way I can do giveaways and give you guys some free crypto coins, as well as getting test sets as well, which would be really good for future videos. So if you find this video useful, please do that. That'd be great. Thanks very much. So before we go any further, I think it's important to look at some of the terms we're going to be talking about in this video, just to make sure that everybody knows exactly what they mean. A great example of this happened in my alliance last night, that somebody told me they'd recrafted a set 10 times, and when I asked them about it a bit more, it turns out they'd been modifying it. So it really does make a big difference. So one of the things we're going to be talking about most in this video is roles. What is a role? Roll is a term used to describe the randomness applied to an in-game item. Think of it as the roll of a dice, just with a lot more sides. This roll is usually expressed as either a percentage of its maximum value within a range, I'll explain that in a moment, or as the chip slots applied to the item when acquiring it. That one's a bit more obvious. When you get an item, you get a random bunch of chip slots. The simplest way to discuss rolls is looking at event items. Before you acquire them, or if you acquire them, you can see here it gives you a range of values. So here at the top, the health is going to be between 126,000 and 133,000. Defense, chemical defense. Sometimes the abilities change, or times, or adding chemical knowledge, that sort of thing. So your role of this item will be a specific value within these ranges of outcomes, and then you'll get certain chip slots. What you can do, especially with an event like this where everything is in a chest, you can break that item and re-roll it to try and get better chip slots. Crafting is the term used for when we take an item and we put it into an anomalous set. So here simply, let's just take the first thing. So a Leviathan, choose the armor that we want. Let's go with this. It doesn't really matter. So the point is, we're going to craft this for the first time. And what we can see here is this is the potential outcome on the right hand side, and this is going to show us our range of outcomes, the potential for our rolls. Okay, so on the left, just the normal item, 128,000, 6,000 and 1,800 and blah blah. On the right hand side, then we can see that the health is going to improve from anywhere between 166,000 and 317,000. So that's the maximum on the right hand side and the minimum on the left hand side. Plus, we will get an extra random chip slot when it's created. Okay, this is probably the most important part. So recrafting. So let's say we have crafted our Leviathan armor and it's got a roll of about 50%. If we recraft that Leviathan armor, the roll percentage will always increase, with one exception I'll explain later. So it could be anything from 51% up to a maximum of 100%. The only occasion when it can go down or stay the same is once you get above 90% for that roll. What we can do with recrafting is you can either make a whole new piece, so you'll have two armors. This way you can compare them. Let's say you get a low roll, but you get a better chip slot. Maybe you want to use the new one that you've crafted instead of the old one. Or you can break the one you've got and you will release some cores from it. So if it's an armor and a weapon, you'll get 3 cores. If it's an attachment, you'll get 2, and bracelet and device, you'll get 1. But the important thing to note is when you recraft the same anomalous set piece, so here we're talking about armor, the roll percentage will always increase. Perhaps the easiest way for me to illustrate recrafting is with a spreadsheet that I use. Here I track all my crafts, rolls and re-rolls, and the number of times I'm crafting and recrafting an item. What I've done for ease of vision is just colored the sets that I'm currently using or want to use. So for example, if we look at say something like Hitman, my first armor craft was 33%. The second craft was 50%, 65%, and 80%. So as you can see, it will always go up. okay? The roll percentage will always go up. The base attribute might not, which I've already gone into. Sometimes the increase can be really small. For example, here with the device, I've crafted it 5 times to get up to 77%. I do think that within the last maybe year or so, the developers have nerfed the recrafting increases. I've had some crafts that have gone up by 1%, 3%, this sort of thing. You know, it's not always going to be 10%, 15%, 20%. Sometimes you'll get lucky, for sure. But don't expect it. Okay, talking about modifying. Now, this seems to cause the most confusion, right? Modifying is swapping the current item in a set for another one. Most commonly when a better item becomes available. An event comes up and you get a new item, so we swap in a new one. That's all we're doing. Modifying is just swapping the item. It's not going to change the roll percentage. It's not going to give you a new chip slot. It's purely swapping the item that you're using. Here's a great example of modifying. So on the left is a biochemist armor that I've got, and on the right is just a random other armor that I'm using for a comparison. So when we're modifying, we can see it's the same chip slot. We've got the chem knowledge here on both sets. But then what we can see is the health on the left is higher than the health on the right, but the chemistry knowledge on the left is lower than the chemistry knowledge on the right. This doesn't mean that it is changing the roll percentage. What this means is that these two items have different ranges of outcomes, and within those ranges of outcomes at the same percentage level, let's say 50% just to keep it simple, the health on the left is higher than the health on the right, but the chemistry knowledge is lower on the left than it is on the right, okay? This is where a lot of the confusion comes in. You know, if somebody modifies in this on the right, they'll be like, oh, the health went down, oh, I did a recraft and it got worse. And this is what causes most of the issues in the game, where people are not understanding the things they're talking about and the things that they are doing. All right, time for a quick quiz then. So who wants to be a millionaire style, right? Question for $1 million. You're not actually going to get $1 million. This is just a graphic for a bit of fun. But okay, we've got a random piece of reptile suit here. Now, what I want to know is, what is the roll percentage of this item? 65%, 62.7%, 28%, or 68.5%? You know, I don't know if you're actually going to know the answer here or work it out or what, but I will discuss in a moment how you work out the correct way to work out the roll percentage, because again, this is something that I see lots of different variations on. People seem to work it out all different ways. There are situations where we can improve our set roll percentage without having to recraft, and I'll get onto those in a minute. Okay, so here, for the purpose of this, what are we saying is the roll percentage of this item? Well, it's actually very boring, 28%. Probably lots of you think you've won $1 million, hopefully, but you haven't. So that's unfortunate. Sorry. So how do we work out the roll percentage equation? So we are going to do the value. So here, let's just talk about crit, okay? I'll talk about why we're not going to use damage and health in a moment. We are going to use, we're going to use this crit value here, okay? So value is 2660, and we're going to take away from that the minimum of the range. So 2046, okay? And we're going to divide that answer by the answer of the maximum of the range, 4239, take away 2046. Okay, so here it is. It's all laid out for us. So we're going to use crit. So what that equates to is 2660 take away 2046 is 614. And we're going to divide that by the answer of this, 4239 take away 2046, which is 2193. And that gives us 0.2799, or rounding up 28%. Okay? Congratulations, you win $1 million. You don't actually win $1 million. I don't have $1 million to give you. If I had $1 million, I wouldn't be doing this. So just going back to this slide, because I think it's important to try and clarify some of the mistakes that I see and where a lot of confusion comes from. So using this again, so these numbers, they're not just random. I haven't just made them up. I've got them from somewhere. So for example, this 65%, what I see quite regularly is people using this big health number. Now, I would say never ever use the health number, because this health number at the top can be affected by renovations, by officer boosts, and by chips on the item. Okay, so sometimes you will see that this health number exceeds the range. Okay, so that's why you should never really use that for trying to work out the percentage. But one thing I hear is this health number divided by the top number here. So 87,139 divided by 133,000. If you can see here, this is probably a bit small, but I've got that sum there, and that works out to be 0.65 or 65%. The next one is using the damage. So again, I would say never use this damage number or chemical damage, because you're looking at a range within a range. Okay, it's just not good for consistently getting an accurate result. So say for example here, if we do 8,529 divided by 13,589, we get 0.62, and they rounded it up to 8. Okay, so that's that 62.7 here. This 68.5 I think I got by finding the middle number between this damage and dividing it by this number here, so that's why it's a bit higher than that one. But yeah, those are some common mistakes that I see. The reason that you use these, so here crit and dodge would be the best ones, is because they're solid, they don't change. Okay, this value is purely based on this range. It won't increase by chips, because what will happen is normally if you scroll down on the item, you'll see these numbers might appear again if you've got more chip slots, whereas the health just adds everything up. I know most of you out there aren't tracking everything with spreadsheets like I do. I'm a little bit anal like that, but you know, I work from home and I have access to my computer all the time, so it's easy enough for me. One of the benefits of it is that if I know what my roles are, I can then see ways to improve those. One example of that is buying the set offers. Now, this is not advertising, this is not financial advice, this is not me telling you to buy it. This is purely an example of one way we can improve our set roles without having to craft or recraft. Okay, so set offers that we get in the game. Here's an example with the Grim Undertaker. I've got the armor here on the bottom left and the armor attachment on the top right. These just happen to be some screenshots that I've got. Currently my internet is actually offline, so this is a real pain for me. So we can see with the Grim Undertaker set here with the armor, I've worked it out here, and the roll percentage is 70%. And with the attachment, the roll percentage is 75%. I think with all set purchase offers, it is usually between 65 and 75%. I think anytime I've bought stuff, I think it's been 68, 72, something like this. So 65 and 75 are the extreme examples. Each time this set offer populates, those rolls will be different. So this was taken from last week or a week ago, a couple of weeks ago, or something like this. Next time this offer pops up, the armor most likely will not be 70%, and the armor attachment will most likely not be 75%. So that's a situation where you might want to track what you've got, because if you're already at 70% and this offer comes up, the offer is not worth it so much. In my opinion, and again, I'm not advising you, this is just my opinion, if you are going to buy one of these offers, you want to buy it before you've even crafted any, right? Because that is going to put your craft roll percentage way up there to 65 to 75%, and then any future crafts after that will be above that level, rather than say crafting it once and getting 10%, then buying this offer, because you know that 10% could have been on top of your craft. Another example of where you can get set items that will increase your roll is from the alliance chest you get at the end of each war period. This device here is a 90% roll. The chemistry knowledge is 6,534 and the top of the range is 6,899. So we can see there quite clearly this is a really good roll. And you've got a chemistry knowledge chip slot, which is pretty good as well. So nearly finished on this video. Just a couple of last things I want to mention. Somebody asked me earlier if it's even worth recrafting items now. There is a massive drain on uranium in the game because of renovations and how strong renovations are. So your choice is either to put renovations on low level rolls and then maybe have to break all of that and recraft it and then re-add the renovations later, or trying to get your crafts up to a certain level first and then put the renovations on top. I think it's down to the player situation and how active you are and things like that. So I took a break for about a year, and unfortunately during this time renovations came, so I'm really behind on that. So I'm in a kind of position where I'm having to recraft some things and just add renovations to other things to try and sort of catch up a bit and then fill in the blanks later. We also have a situation where over the last 6 months we've had a lot of new sets coming in. So say for example you make a sand duke, you know, is it worth recrafting all that sand duke if sand duke's going to get replaced? Again, it depends what the situation is on your team and how much you need it and how strong it is and how much uranium you're getting regularly and that sort of thing. So it's really hard to answer. My general point of view is that I am not recrafting anything where I have to make the cores as well as recraft and add renovations. So, for example, what I'm talking about here is any of the sets where you can buy the cores from, like the arena store, the railroad, or the bunker. So I think at the moment I've just been doing firewall because I've got lots of data. So it's relatively cheap to buy the cores for firewall. It's just the uranium I need for those recrafts. So, yeah, that does pose some issues, but it's just the way I'm prioritizing things at the moment. Okay, with that said, that's going to be the end of the video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting and you've expanded your knowledge and hopefully correct some of the mistakes making. Again, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave comments, leave questions. Tell me things you want to see in the videos. I really want to know what it is that you guys want to see in videos, right? There's no point in me just pumping out a load of videos and you guys are like, it's not really stuff I care about. What do you want to see? Okay, so yeah, please subscribe, like, leave comments, share with your friends, that sort of thing. Not sure when my next video will be or what it's going to be about, but it will definitely be within a week or so. So yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you all again soon. Bye-bye.